I'm Jemima Crosby with Coldwell Banker.
And I'm Dago Velasquez with Envoy Mortgage.
And we've decided that we're gonna do something this year for 2022 a little different.
We're gonna have some great conversations, have fun.
At least once a month, only. And hopefully everyone enjoys it. Our first guest for this month is
Mr. Dylan Straight.
Dylan Straight. Okay, first of all, I think I want to say cheers.
Cheers.
It's 2022.
Prost.
I know, right?
Yeah.
We're at Bookwalter Winery in February.
Great spot.
I know, it's beautiful. They just did this tasting room.
First of all, when you say cheers, you have to actually like cheers and drink.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
right.
I'm
Nice.
sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
right. A dry cheers.
I think what I wanted to do this year was step out of my comfort zone, I would like to say, right off the bat, and get us a little bit more out there. Dog and I have been doing real estate for a handful of years. I think it's a decade maybe, if not longer. And Dylan too.
Yep.
So we're adding Dylan as our guest. He's our first guest.
It's good to be here. It's an honor to be here.
Geez. And then he gets all.
Yeah.
So Dylan and I go back further back than Doggo and I even go back, right?
Yeah. 2009.
2009, and I think I started
13 years.
Yeah. And I started in 2008,
Yep.
November, if I remember correctly, maybe even October. And Doggo, when did you start? Remind me.
I started back in August of 2007.
Oh, 7.
Yep.
Okay,
Yeah,
so you're the longest. You're the oldest
Yep.
in the group. And it was honestly, Dylan, you were the first friendship and the first business relationship I gained in the industry, other than a couple others as I started. So I kind of wanted to add you to begin with because I feel like people just need to know where we started.
Yep.
And so remember that first time you and I met.
Yep.
I think it was at a Coldwell Banker meeting.
Yeah.
You walked in.
Yep.
And I was a little starstruck, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I was single, by the way, just as I say that.
Yeah.
So Dylan walks in, and you were just brand new to
brand new to the Tri-Cities, and was like you said, I mean, didn't know anybody and was getting out there trying to meet people. I mean, I think how I met both you guys was just through coming into offices and introducing myself, talking about who I was and my position here in the Tri-Cities.
He came in his suit.
Yeah.
Super, like he always is in.
Yeah.
And actually, Vicky and I were at the very front.
Yep.
And she looks at me and she's like, and I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
And she's looking and like trying to get my attention. I'm like, yes, I noticed.
Yeah.
He's handsome.
Yeah.
And I didn't know who he was. But the first thing I noticed is, Dylan, you reached out right off the bat.
Yeah.
Not that I was that cool.
Yeah.
But I was, we were both new,
Yep.
I would say, right?
Yep.
I would assume that's why.
Yep. Yeah, we were the same age. I mean, we were younger at that time. I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny to say now we're not the young people in the industry
you.
anymore.
I still feel young though, bro.
Yeah, you gotta hold on to it as long as you can. But no, I didn't know anybody and was brand new here and was just trying to, meet people and get opportunities. And same thing. I mean, you were kind of my first connection here and my first client. We didn't have any business. So I was super excited that you were willing to give me an opportunity. And
Well, it wasn't easy at that time.
Yeah.
We were starting out. I was sitting at a model home.
Yep.
For Viking Homes at that time. And I remember, I didn't know anybody. So when they say you got to put in your title and escrow company, I didn't even know what that meant.
Yeah.
And so he had to show me
Yep.
this is what that means.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden he sends me the listing packets. He'll take care of all of it. It made it seamless. And we had a good relationship.
Oh, it was super fun. And I mean, it was great for me to meet people. And same thing with Doggo. I mean, you were at Coldwell Banker and you talk about Vicky being at Coldwell Banker and, just how the industry, the growth, and all the people that were at Coldwell there. A lot of you guys are still there, but people that have branched off and done other things and grown. And same thing with Doggo. I mean, I met him at Gulf Savings Bank, which doesn't even exist anymore. Right? But, met you, and you were newer too, and similar age, and just kind of struck up a friendship. And
I remember walking into your office, and I was like, my first closing over there, I'm like, I'll walk in there, and I'm like,
is anybody here?
Anybody here?
Yeah, we had 3 people.
Yeah, then
so it was me and 2 other people at that time. So it was brand new.
And you pop in, I'm like, oh, is this?
Yep. Yeah.
I didn't know any better.
Yeah.
So
We were all kind of just getting started out at the same time.
So did you guys start hanging out at all?
I don't think we really hung out. I think we just kind of talked to each other throughout transactions, and I would come up to golf, and like Doggo said, he would come in for his signings, and then we bumped into each other casually. I remember at Ice Harbor and Cedars actually, and talked, and we were like, oh yeah, we should hang out, and then I think after that we may have done a happy hour or something like that afterwards. But yeah, we started kind of connecting too, just like you and me, on a business level, but also, on a personal level.
Right. I think later on, it's funny because, again, Doggo and I had not chatted at all. So we barely, he was, in my opinion, because I was hanging out with Vicky, and Vicky was amazing, and she still is. And she was introducing me to, at that time, a Brad Seabaugh and a Chad. And those were the big dogs in the lending industry, which they still are. And but at that time, they were it. And so Doggo would be around, and I just thought he was just another young
little rookie.
Yeah, like you were. And then Dylan, I think it was you. So it was a Parade of Homes time.
Yep.
And the real story is that you were the one that set us up, right?
Right. I think so. And I think that's one thing that has gotten lost a little bit last 2 years with COVID and stuff is, the business has always been about relationships. And especially back then, the Parade of Homes buses and the tours and things like that, it just was all about, there wasn't the technology like there is today. So people, for connecting, you had to see people and go to events and do things like that. So yeah, it was the Parade of Homes dinner, and it was at the Red Lion in Pasco in the Grizzly Bar.
Yes.
And I think it was, we all did the dinner, and I think you were there with one of the builders, and Doggo was there as a lender, and we all had kind of tables. And then after it was over, it spilled over into the Grizzly Bar. And there was, I think, 20 or 25 of us, and it was like, oh, hey, we're all hanging out. You should really, hang out with Doggo, and we should all hang out. And we had a great evening. And I think your brother, who's a twin, was out there. He couldn't walk the next day.
Okay, so let's go back.
Okay.
I was married, by the way.
Yep.
I
Michael
just
was
got
there.
married to Michael. I think we were married maybe 6 months.
Who you met through a closing that I did the signing.
That's
for.
true. You were very, yep. So, and Dylan goes, I need you to meet this guy. And I'm like, okay, I know Doggo. Like, why does that matter?
Right.
I remember that feeling. And I meet Doggo again, which I had already met, and I meet his twin.
Yep.
I love to dance. If anybody doesn't know that about me, I absolutely love to dance. Like, I am that Latina girl that just tries super hard to dance all night if I could. So, Doggo, you do not dance.
I'm not much of a dancer either, so
I know.
I was on the sidelines too.
You were on the sidelines.
Yep.
But you guys did well because you took on Michael.
Yeah.
And Doggo gave up his brother Miguel.
So my brother, bro, stepping up.
Yep.
He did. It's so true, right?
Yeah.
And so I did dance with your brother.
Funny about Doggo and Miguel is a lot of people have a hard time telling you guys apart. I've never had a hard time, but you do have a twin.
Yeah.
And, that's something that's funny. I mean, you can impersonate each other. And
He goes by Doggo too, so.
He does. It's so true.
Varsity JV. Right?
Oh, wow.
Brotherly competition, right? I got a brother too, so.
Yep, I get, and I have a sister,
Yeah.
so I fully get it. So we danced all night. The next day, I think what set everything apart is Dylan and I already had that relationship, so business was as normal. And it was a Saturday morning, and I was turning right off of 68 heading the highway. I'll never forget it. And Michael was saying, what are you doing? I'm like, I just got a text. And he goes, oh, from who? I'm like, Doggo. Well, he knew I was dancing with Miguel all night long. So he was actually surprised that it was Doggo texting me. And I was like, yeah. And his first words were, if you need me, I'm here. Hopefully you have, it was a good weekend or whatever. And knowing that we've got clientele coming in, right?
You're like, you work on the weekends?
Yeah.
I did say that.
I was like, yes, I do.
He's like, he always says that was a hook, right? That was your hook.
Yeah.
So I think that was the beginning of...
So, Dylan, before we go forward, thank you.
Yeah, you bet. No, absolutely.
There you go.
Absolutely.
He's been waiting forever to hear that.
No, it's all you can. That's introductions, and like I talked about the relationship portion. But it's funny you talked about turning on Road 68 because I remember when you texted me and said, "Hey, let's give this a shot," and I want to, have you be my title guy. I was coming up Columbia Center, turning right on the
funny.
chute. So I think, when you're growing and you're just starting out and you're trying to establish yourself, I think, you remember every first down, you remember every touchdown, and it really means a
Dylan,
lot.
you and your stinking.
Yeah. So the sports analogies, but no, it's been a heck of a lot of fun and a lot of pretty cool to grow with people. I mean, that's one thing about us too, is we still are, but we were at the same phase of life. And I think that's where
every single one of us.
A career is kind of like a quarter. I mean, there's the first quarter, the second quarter, the third quarter, and the fourth. All of us were in the first quarter.
Right, 100%.
We were all kind of in the same phase in
We
life.
talked about that earlier.
Didn't have kids, and I wasn't married when I moved here, and and all of us. So it was kind of growing together, not only on a business level, but also on a personal level.
Yeah, I think shortly after, obviously I had just gotten married. Doggo, you got married, I think, right after that, if not just right around the same time. And
Don't quote me when I got married.
he's like,
When's your anniversary?
don't make me call Kristen right now.
So
Sorry, babe. I'm watching.
And then, Dylan, I think you were shortly. You married Sam,
Yep. 2010.
Yep.
So I came here in this, middle 09 and year and a half, and then,
and we all talked about having babies.
Yep.
I remember this. So another funny part is, I think you started, Dylan, because I think Noah is older than Christian.
Yep.
And I think by maybe 2 years, if I
Yep.
remember correctly.
Yep.
And we hung out as couples.
Yep.
We did. And that was the biggest thing, is the relationships grew from there, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
we a lot of it had to do with wine at the beginning,
Sure.
or cocktails.
Sure.
But within that became all our spouses got to know each other, and we just our families were growing at the same time.
Yep.
You guys had to convince me, push it like no
Yep.
other, right? For
Yeah.
me to have a kid.
Yeah.
I was done,
Yeah.
guys. I had Aaron at that time. I believe he was about 7 or 8, and then I had Maddie was maybe 3, 4-ish, give or
Yep.
take. And I remember thinking, "There's no way I'm done."
Yeah.
And Dylan and Doggo were huge people. Michael needs his child.
Yeah.
So
Gotta have it.
That's well, he got his child, so
Right?
right. And then Doggo finally
I told
fell.
Mike, come on, baby, let's go.
Put it in the end zone.
Oh God. Oh geez. Anyways, well, there's a little background
Yeah,
of how we
for
all
sure.
started. I think another thing that I kind of want to go over is talking about back in the day
Yep.
and today. What would you say is the biggest difference? Short statements.
That's tough for me.
Yeah, I know. That's why I say this, Dylan. What would you say is your biggest difference between, you kind of touched on it too at the
Yeah.
very beginning, on 10 years ago and today's way of title or in our real estate industry?
Well, I guess with me personally is I think with all of us, you grow up, you mature, you calm down a little bit. And so, for all of us, I think, have evolved. And like you said, we're married, we have families, and, a little bit more established than we were back then. But I think technology is the big thing that's changed in all lines of life and in sectors. But it's still really about relationships, and the people that are successful in our business, in real estate, and probably in life are still really hard workers and really focused. And I
But
think
what would you say, you did different? What do you see different? Let's think about
Sure.
the latest and greatest.
Sure.
I'm not going to say that they don't all compare to you, but
Yeah.
your latest and greatest title manager or escrow
Yeah.
manager. What is the difference between them now versus the 10 years ago that you did? What do you think?
I think people are more out there. Again, I'd kind of go back to technology, and I think people are more out there on social media. They're willing to do stuff like this. They're willing to share ads, and the relationship component has always been there. But I think now it's branding, it's marketing, it's always putting yourself out there. It's being willing, like you said, to be uncomfortable.
Right.
That I think is what in this phase has made people even more successful and even
Right.
more relevant. We
Right.
talked about that, but
Right.
I think you have to be willing to be uncomfortable and just get out there and continue to change, and you can't do things like you did 10 years ago.
Right, right.
Yep.
Doggo, what do you think?
I agree with you. I'm a little old school too, and I would say just having the confidence, like we were talking about earlier, having the confidence to walk into a real estate company, for example, Coldwell Banker, and trying to pass the receptionist desk and see if they let you in, right?
Yep.
And they're like, "Who's this guy?"
Yep.
You're new, you're a rookie, and then it was. It's super hard. It takes confidence,
Yeah.
right? So,
Sure.
And then now it's like like you said, social media. A lot of people.
What's Carlos doing?
Yeah, it's a little bit easier.
Yep.
I would say easier because
Different.
different, right? So, For me, I always think back when I'm teaching these new LOs, pick up the phone, call, and set up appointments face to face, earn the relationships,
Yep.
and gain that confidence. So if we have to ever go back, not that we will, maybe, but you never know, right? So and just have that confidence to like just talk to somebody, right? So,
Well, and I think that's where it's a combination of both. And like you guys just said, and I said, I think screens now give you opportunities. In person gives you relationships.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
Because that's how it worked for us.
Yeah,
It wouldn't have worked.
you don't build a relationship
Right.
on TikTok or Facebook
Right.
or text. You get an opportunity and maybe you get a transaction, but the real partnerships develop through
Right. The realness.
Yeah, the realness.
The
and
friendships. The genuine, people buying homes, as much as everyone says it's another house, it's really not. Most people are saying at this point, it's one of the hardest things you ever do. It's
Yep.
top 3, actually, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And so at this, we have to keep thinking that way. And millennials, I'm telling you, they can just go on a stinking camera with their phone and they can just sell themselves in 2 seconds. And I'm like, I'm so scared to even take a selfie at this point in life, right? So, I mean,
they grew up with it, and we didn't. So I think it's a little different, and you see that. But I think, like we talked about, just continuing to be willing to be uncomfortable. And I applaud you for doing the podcast or this interview, because if you're not willing to change, you ultimately become like Blockbuster. People are still renting movies; they're just not going to Blockbuster on Friday night. So the behaviors are the same, but the mechanisms and how you get there and what is relevant in present day continues to evolve and change.
Right.
So as long as you're willing to do that with it, and you're skilled and you're good with people and you're a hard worker, I think you'll always be fine.
well, I think the biggest thing for me, this whole goal this year, I was talking to Dog about it. I'm like, we got to do something different.
Yeah.
People don't know the real us.
Sure.
They know the glamour, I guess you can say, in real estate. They know they may know all the numbers. They may know that. But that to me is, unfortunately, it's not always 100% transparent. As much as we want to be, it's just not.
Right.
So I wanted to be like, let me show you what I'm really like.
Sure.
And it's not easy, because that means I have to be raw, and I'm not very good at that most of the time, to be honest. Because as much as I want to be raw, I'm my own head gets in the way.
Yep.
And so I just decided I'm gonna do something different.
Yep.
I'm grateful to have 10 years, maybe actually more, I guess now. Doggo was telling me that we were 13 years in the industry, that let's just talk about it.
Yep.
And talk about real life and kind of let it see how it goes. So that's my goal this time. So I kind of wanted to ask you guys in 1 to 3 words, what is your 2022 goal? Go, Doggo.
Tiger Woods. I would say to be more consistent for me, 2022. So and helping my team out now that I have rookies in my office and they're doing a great job. So helping them out, not just about me, and just being consistent with that. So
I think that's consistency is a good word, and I think that's also what breeds success, is right. Like sticking to your financial plan, going to the gym, whatever it may be. That's the consistency day in and day out is what gets you somewhere. For me, I think it's just continue to evolution. That's a big goal. I forget about what you did last year, forget about what you did the year before, forget about 10 years ago in a sense, and just always be willing, like this, like I said, kudos to you. Just change and put yourself out there. Try new things. Some of them work and some of them don't, but I just don't believe in operating on fear and being afraid.
That's your goal.
Yep. Just continuing with that, continuing to evolve
and I
stick
think
to the core,
right.
Stick to what you know, but don't do things the same way you did 10 years ago, and be willing to continue to try new things.
what about you, Jimmy? You
I
answer all these questions.
know. So mine is to push my mentality.
Yeah.
I think I can say that in a lot of aspects of my life. And it could be business and personal, but I like that statement. That's kind of what I'm doing. 2022 is just I have had this statement on my desk for a long time, and it says, the only way to grow is to be uncomfortable.
True.
And you've been saying it, and I'm fully like, you know what? Let's do it.
Yep.
I'm just getting older. Might as well get more uncomfortable in life. Who cares?
Yep. Yeah.
So
We're getting younger.
Yeah, and I think
that's what you keep saying,
I think
but
I said it. There's a quote that it says the people that criticize you will always be the ones that are doing less, not the ones that are doing more. So I think
you have all quotes down.
Yeah.
I
so
swear that you in your brain, it's
Yeah.
like, right?
Yeah.
If we ever need a quote, we'll just call Dylan.
Right. But I think that's true. I think the people that talk negative or, oh, you shouldn't do that. I mean, they're operating on a very fear, life in my box, got to do what's safe.
Right.
And I think that the people that do grow and evolve are the ones that are willing to take some risks. And sometimes you screw up, sometimes you fall down, but that's how you grow and you evolve and become your kind of best self. And
I feel like if they're talking good things or bad things, it's a good thing. They're talking about you.
They're talking about you. That's
They're
right.
This is the part. This is the difference between guys and girls, though.
Yeah.
Females, we're not that good like that.
Right.
Guys, whatever. They can talk about all their everything. It doesn't matter. For them, they can be fat, skinny, all fast, not fast. Doesn't matter. Whereas females, all those things matter. So, again, this is why I say I'm pushing my mentality this 2022 in hopes that it just kind of, one, it shows rawness. It shows that as females, number one, sorry guys, we can be, it's okay to, feel insecure. It's okay to feel vulnerable. But at the same time, that brings in strength and that brings in positivity and hopefully brings in more just, excitement over the industry that I'm in that I absolutely love. And just shows you what it's like to be, Doggo and myself and Dylan as,
Well, and I think we have a good support system around us. I mean, we have great spouses, we've got mentors, we've got friends, and I think, like you said, it's good to have those people to be raw with and to pick you up and to build you up and to give you feedback. So I think that's super important too. And I think, all of our spouses are great. And I've always said that in this business, if you're going to really work hard and achieve, and that's probably true in any job, if you don't have a supportive spouse or support network, it's probably not going to work.
100%.
We definitely have that. So
And
we're
grateful.
fortunate there.
100%. I think that's the biggest thing I say is don't forget, and you said it, don't forget where you come from. And at the same time, that's a humbling statement. I don't mean it because we're better than anybody else, but it just means that we have to remember that everyone started somewhere. Right?
Yep. And I think like we talked about too, people that are driven and want to grow and want to improve and always be driving, I think that's great. And I think that's why you're successful. But like we've talked about, my grandpa said, take time to smell the roses. I think it is good to stop, take a deep breath.
And
sometimes.
have a cheers moment.
Have a cheers moment.
I was about to say drink up.
I know, because he's like, it's getting stuffy. It's getting stuffy. So
And remember where you came from. And celebrate and
and enjoy it.
I'm halfway down the path, and we've had some bumps and bruises and growth, but there's been a lot of wins along the way.
Yeah, we weren't always perfect.
No.
Him and I fought plenty, by the way.
Yeah.
Dylan and I have had our fights. Dog and I have had our fights.
Definitely.
That's the problem with, getting to know people.
Stronger, right?
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah,
It does.
for sure.
So I think to end this, I just kind of wanted to, one, cheers. And like Doggo said, thank you, Dylan. Because if it wasn't for you, Doggo and I have, there's few, and I'm not bragging about this, but I am telling honestly, it's hard to find a duo when a lender and a realtor can actually function and actually put the deals that we put together. And I'm very proud about that.
Yeah.
And hopefully people can just see that and use that. I am all about like, copy me, copy whoever you feel like is somebody that you want to look up to, you want to see, do it because it does work.
Yep.
If you do it right. So
Well, if it's working, why
mess with
why
it.
change?
100%.
And it is that's one thing about our
sorry,
business.
Doggo, you're stuck with me.
Yeah, no, but it is a team, and I tell that to new agents and people. I'm like,
Yeah.
man, find your title person, find your lender,
100%.
and find your team. And
Right.
if you work, you're going to accomplish great things together.
Right.
Yeah.
I already told her if she fires me, she needs a backup lender. My brother.
Yeah,
There's a twin. He's gonna send
you
me
gotta
back.
get a
I'm gonna
referral
be
fee, right?
dancing again.
So
Okay, so lastly, I just kind of wanted to say we are here at Bookwalter.
Yeah.
Thank you, Doggo, by
Great
the way.
place.
Great, amazing place.
I'm a member here.
I know.
You
You guys,
are
I
too.
think both of you guys
thank
are.
you, John.
Yeah.
I know,
And Gretchen.
right?
And Gretchen.
And don't forget, guys, Valentine's Day is around the corner. I'm just saying this out loud. The wives do not need to get mad.
Yep.
I'm grateful because Michael always thinks ahead, so I'm going to try to give you guys a little
I think at the moment, I just reserved my night today.
I did.
Well, the thing about Valentine's
totally
Day, the key
did.
is just don't forget. That you know.
Tuesday or Monday.
Oh my goodness, these
figure it
guys.
out.
Just don't
Look it
forget.
up. Look it up. Yeah.
All right, well, cheers, guys.
Yep.
2022.
Yep. Cheers. What do you think, Josefa? You can edit that out.